Hello everyone. Today we are covering key pillars of Australian real property law that are the doctrine of tenure and estates and native title. This framework underpins how land interests are created, held and recognized in Australia, both under common law and statute. Let's break this down step by step. The feudal doctrine of tenure comes from English law. Under this system, all land is ultimately owned by the Crown. Tenure means a tenant holds land from the Crown in return for services or duties. In Australia, we inherited this principle when the colonies were settled. Under English feudal tenure, only free or socage tenure came to Australia. From this, we get the fee simple state. A fee simple state is the most complete interest one can hold. It's inheritable and transferable. This is the form of tenure most freehold landowners hold today. Due to the settlement principle and that idea of terra nullius that Australia was empty land, the Crown claimed absolute ownership. However, this view changed dramatically with Mabo versus Queensland, number 2, where the High Court recognized native title, rejecting terra nullius. Hence, Australia was not an empty land. After Mabo, the Crown's title was reframed as radical title. This means the Crown holds the ultimate root of title but does not have beneficial ownership if native title exists. Native title can coexist unless it's extinguished. This balance was critical in Mabo and later cases like Commonwealth versus Yammer. The doctrine of estates adds another layer. It means land can be held by multiple people with different interests over time. The main freehold estates are fee simple and life estates. For example, someone may hold a life estate with the remainder going to someone else once they pass away. Future interest vests in title when created, but possession comes later. If the interest goes to a third party, it's called a remainder. If the land returns to the guarantor, it's reversion. For example, to A for life and then to B. B holds a remainder. Interest may be vested or contingent. A vested interest exists immediately. However, a contingent interest depends on a condition called a condition precedent. If the condition isn't met, the interest never vests. The rule against perpetuities ensures future interests don't last forever. A future interest must vest, if at all, within a life in being plus 21 years. For example, to A for life, then to B's children. We check when the children's interest must vest. If it's too remote, it's void. Under common law, land boundaries often end at the mean high water mark, the average high tide. Beyond that is the foreshore, which belongs to the Crown. However, private grants can extend to the low water mark, as seen in some statutory contexts. This has implications for native title and public rights. Native title is the recognized interest Indigenous Australians hold in land and waters, based on their traditional laws and customs. Mabo confirmed native title can coexist with Crown radical title. Native title is generally communal and can't be sold or transferred outside the group. native title can be extinguished if the Crown clearly intends to do so. For example, by granting inconsistent land interest like freehold, where native title is extinguished, affected parties must be compensated under the Native Title Act. In Wake, the High Court held that a pastoral lease did not automatically extinguish native title, as it did not grant exclusive possession. In Ward, the court recognized native title as a bundle of rights, so parts could be extinguished while others remained. This uses the inconsistency of incidence test. After Mabo, Parliament passed the Native Title Act 1993 to provide a clear framework. It recognizes and protects native title, sets out how claims are made, and provides for compensation if rights are lost. Future acts are activities after 1993 that may impact native title, such as new mining licenses. These acts must follow rules in the Native Title Act. Instead of court battles, indigenous land use agreements called ILUAs, which allow negotiation over native title rights and their benefits and provide a compensation as well. Let's sum up now. We saw that the doctrine of tenure and estates defines who holds land and under what conditions. We also read that native title reminds us Australia's legal system must also recognize pre-existing indigenous rights. In exams, always link your common law cases like Mabo, Wake Ward to the Native Title Act provisions and explain how they interact. Thank you for watching. To continue learning, please check out some of my other videos by clicking the links on the screen. I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.